The San Francisco 49ers are at the top of the list for Super Bowl contenders with Brock Purdy at the helm. And they get tested this week by the Cleveland Browns, or actually, we should say statistically, have the best defense in the NFL. We're going to talk about all that. We're going to talk about some updates that we have for the Cleveland Browns and what's going on with their quarterback situation. And we're going to talk about the San Francisco 49ers and how they are primed to be fighting for a Super Bowl this year. Let's go. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What is going down, SDS? Shout out to the Sourdough Squad coming to you a little bit earlier today. And we're gonna talk all things 49ers football right now. Let's get some updates going. We'll touch on this before we get into the meat of our conversation. Right now, Deshaun Watson is trending towards being out for this game against the San Francisco 49ers. He's been dealing with a shoulder injury for a couple of weeks now. He was a game time decision about 2 weeks ago, and he ultimately did not play. And as a result of not playing, they started DTR. DTR, well, didn't go so well. And then they went into the bye. And so far through the two main practices that the team uses to prepare for the game against the San Francisco 49ers, they aren't playing. He's not practicing. So as it stands right now, Deshaun Watson is trending towards being out for this game against the San Francisco 49ers, which is interesting because he's been medically cleared to play. So some are starting to believe that there might be something else going on with the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, I really don't care what's going on with the Cleveland Browns because we don't cover the Cleveland Browns. But there does seem to be something that might be more than what meets the eye regarding this injury with Deshaun Watson. But it doesn't look like he's going to play. That's a big hit for the Cleveland Browns. And if he doesn't play, and we got one more practice to determine his availability, and if he doesn't practice tomorrow, at minimum with a limited participation, Deshaun Watson ain't playing. So that means they're not turning to DTR. They are turning to P.J. Walker. Now, P.J. Walker is, I think, a decent quarterback. He's obviously not a starting caliber quarterback right now. He lost the quarterback 2 job competition to the guy that I really liked out of Shepherd, D2 quarterback Tyson Bagent. So he lost his quarterback 2 job with the Bears, and that's why he's on the Cleveland Browns right now. But he's still capable. He's still very capable. Is he at the level of Deshaun Watson? And Deshaun hasn't been playing that great this year. But no, he's not. So what does that mean? Well, they're coming in a little banged up. Not only that, it does look like Joel Bitonio, that one of their best offensive linemen, he hasn't practiced either. So, and we know Nick Chubb's already out, so they're banged up right now. But that doesn't change the fact that this defense is solid, and the 49ers know this. They've got talent across that defense. All 3 levels, defensive line, linebackers, and defensive backs. They've got speed everywhere. So still going to be a big challenge for the 49ers offense. I think this is It could definitely go sideways quickly though on the Cleveland Browns, right? Because if they don't play complementary football and you're just heavily weighted on one side and the defense is constantly on the field, this is the 49ers have the type of offense that will just chip away at you. So, you know, I don't I agree that we don't look past the Cleveland Browns. Who knows if they get a shot of energy from PJ Walker getting in there and playing. He's a pretty mobile quarterback. He can run around, he can make plays out of structure. But we'll see. We will see. It'll still be a good test. It has some trap game vibes to it because it is a 10 a.m. start in the Midwest. I think the weather is going to be kind of meh over there. Cleveland's pretty hostile, pretty loyal fan base, regardless of all the terrible teams they fielded over the years. Still going to be a test. Every week's going to be a test. Honestly, right? Every week's going to be a test. Why is every week going to be a test? Because the San Francisco 49ers are the hunted. They are right now the top dogs competing for the Super Bowl. There is no other team in the NFL right now that is more complete than the San Francisco 49ers on all three phases. Whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, the 49ers are the top dog. Now, I get it. Philadelphia Eagles, they're a pretty good team too. Really good defense. Obviously, we know about their offense. They have the best offensive line in football, and they have a very good quarterback in Jalen Hurts and a ton of weapons around him. So they're very good. You could definitely make the debate of whose roster is better, but I believe wholeheartedly that the San Francisco 49ers are playing much better than the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles are undefeated, right? They're undefeated. So are the 49ers. But I feel like the 49ers brand of ball right now is much cleaner, is much more effective and efficient. And they're getting better week in and week out. So that doesn't mean that Philly is any lesser than the 49ers. I would have them pretty much on the same tier, but I would have the 49ers ahead of them right now. And that's not biased. That's just I really do think the 49ers are playing that well. So because of that, I've made this analogy before, and I really think it's going to be true. These types of games against the Cleveland Browns, these guys in the NFL, they're all ultra competitors. They all compete, and when they're faced with a challenge, more often than not, they are going to rise to the occasion. So when you have the undefeated San Francisco 49ers coming into their house in Cleveland and they're down, there are going to be guys who are going to be like, we're going to prove these guys wrong. We're going to go out here and we're going to play our best ball. And we've seen it before with it goes across sports. I talk about it all the time. The Warriors, man, when they were at the peak of their run, the worst teams seemingly would come out and play like they were playoff teams against the Warriors. And it's because they're matching and playing up to what the Warriors were. The same thing is going to apply to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, it didn't happen last week against the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys folded on national television in front of the biggest crowd Sunday Night Football has ever seen. They absolutely folded, but that's not going to be every team. So, for example, like the Cleveland Browns, I imagine they're going to try to play up to the San Francisco 49ers, even with a potential backup quarterback, even with some offensive line injuries. I still think they are going to play up to the San Francisco 49ers, and they are going to give the 49ers their best shot. And we know they have a really strong defense. And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But with Brock Purdy at the helm with the San Francisco 49ers, they're still the top dogs to go out and get the Super Bowl, man. Like, we've talked about this at the beginning of the year before the season ever began or ever kicked off. We talked about this season that the San Francisco 49ers, the expectation was to get to the Super Bowl. It wasn't like, oh, we're hopeful that they get to the Super Bowl. No, the expectation is they go all the way and they compete for a ring. Now, we're not going to sit here and say, "Oh, they're going to win the ring," because I'm smart enough to understand how difficult it is to one, get to the Super Bowl, and two, win it. So right now, my rallying cry is get to the bowl, get there, and let's see what they got. And I think right now the 49ers through the first 5 weeks are the best team in the NFL. And so the expectation right now is they are going to be absolutely vying for a spot in that game. And Brock Purdy makes that a real thing. And Brock's still getting disrespected across the league. Nick Wright giving backhanded compliments. That guy Steven Ruiz from The Ringer still has Brock Purdy. What is he ranked? I think he's ranked 21. Is that what it was? I don't know. Let's take a look. I might even have it up. Uh, I think Steven Ruiz has him at 21, and this is the guy, if you don't remember, this is the guy who said that if Brock Purdy wins the Super Bowl, he's never covering the NFL again. And when I say with my full chest, we are going to hold this guy to this claim. If the 49ers win with Brock Purdy, he will never hear the end of it, especially from this page, from this channel. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. We're going to be under every tweet, every article. We're going to be posting screenshots, all of it, because these are his updated rankings right now. He has Brock Purdy at 22. So after Brock Purdy goes 20 of 21 the week prior, and he ranks him at 25th, then this week he throws multiple touchdowns and dismantles the Dallas Cowboys, which was the first true test for this offense. He has him at 22. He moved them up 3 spots. And this is why this guy's unserious. This is why this guy is like, shout out to The Ringer. I love the graphics. I love the layout. It looks really nice. It looks really pretty. But man, these people consistently telling themselves that they don't know ball, and it's hilarious to see. It is hilarious to see the people out here that really genuinely don't know football. And this guy posts an article every week basically saying, I don't know ball. I don't know how to evaluate quarterbacks, yet here I am putting together extensive rankings. I don't know anything about what I'm talking about, but yeah, we're going to put Brock Purdy, who started out at 32, goes to 29, 27, stays at 27, 25, 22. He put him ahead of Baker Mayfield, Mac Jones, Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jordan Love, Sam Howell, Bryce Young, Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, Joshua Dobbs, Zach Wilson. I got no problems with that. Any of these people below. But let's take a look at who's above Brock Purdy, right? Let's see who he has above. He's got, oh, look, Deshaun Watson. Because Deshaun Watson has played really well this year, right? He has been playing fantastically. No, Deshaun has looked like ass. And I'm one of Deshaun Watson's biggest fans. Unfortunately, at least as a football player prior to his off-field situation. I love Deshaun Watson at Clemson. I loved him coming out. I wanted the 49ers to draft Deshaun Watson. Deshaun is cheeks this year. He does not look like who he was coming out. He just hasn't looked the same since he effectively did all the stuff that he did or did not do, whatever you want to believe. I don't care. But he has not been good. He's not been good at all. And this is the one where you're like, all right, what are we talking about right now? You're going to have Daniel Jones ahead of Brock Purdy this year. How is this real? How can you say, like, and this guy referenced, I watched the tape. I watched the tape. You don't watch nothing. You don't know ball. If you're putting Daniel Jones, and like if you're having a serious ranking and you're trying to be a serious, like, I know ball kind of a guy, first of all, you're disqualified from the conversation already for putting him at 22. But then to put Daniel Jones ahead of him, like, is so unserious. Like, and Daniel Jones is it's like he started week 1 at 20, week 6 at 20. Basically, he's gone up back to, like, Daniel Jones has looked like one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL this year. CJ Stroud at 19. I think CJ Stroud has been playing well. Derek Carr at 18. Meh. Russell Wilson, no. Ryan Tannehill, absolutely not. Jared Goff, too low. Kirk Cousins, meh. Joe Burrow has not been playing well this year. How is Kyler Murray at 12? Can someone explain this to me like I'm 5 years old? Can someone explain this to me like I'm 5? How is Kyler Murray 12 on this list? Kyler Murray isn't going to get his job back from Joshua Dobbs. How is he 12? He hasn't played a snap. That's why these rankings are unserious. This is unserious list. He's an unserious reporter. Like, what are we talking about? Tua at 11. Tua's played well. Wait, I didn't even see this. Tom Brady's on this list. Can we take this list and can we throw it in the garbage? Can we burn this? My eyes, I only went straight to Brock. I haven't looked this far up. Tom's killing it this year, man. He's really outperforming Brock Purdy this year. Let's take a look. Oh, look, Dakota Prescott, number 9 after last week's performance. He dropped 2 spots. Dak dropped 2 spots after last week's performance against the San Francisco 49ers. This is what you're telling me? This is an unserious human being right here who claims to know football, who claims to watch the tape. This is ridiculous. Like, someone pays this guy. Like, listen, go do what you do. Go, I don't care. But it's like when we talk about the 49ers so much and we really try to analyze everything that the 49ers are doing, we watch the tape, we do film breakdowns, we look at everything, and we try to be really objective about it. Now, we are 49er fans, so there's going to always be a little bias that creeps in. We're 49er fans. But this is just ridiculous. This is insane. Dak Prescott at 9, down 2 spots? What are we talking about here? Jalen Hurts at 8. Geno Smith at 7. Matthew Stafford at 6. Trevor Lawrence 5. Lamar Jackson 4. Justin Herbert 3. Josh Allen 2, and shocking, Patrick Mahomes at 1. This is literally the most unserious list I've ever seen. I did my ranking of where I thought Brock should be. I think Brock should be ahead of Geno. I think Brock should be ahead of Stafford. I would put, does it say we can build our own rankings? I can't believe Tom Brady is 10 and they list him as a Las Vegas Raider. Buddy, he owns the Las Vegas Raiders. He's not playing. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Brock all the way down there. Look at this. We got a speech bubble that I'm going to take a little screenshot of this. This is hilarious. So if you move Brock up, you get his face, Stephen Ruiz, who made this whole ranking. He says if Purdy finishes the season in the top 10, you can do the rankings next year. Oh, this guy is asking for it. I hope all of you guys are taking note. I'm going to blow it up even bigger so you can see it. I hope you guys are taking note of this guy, of how unserious he is at his job. I just moved Brock to 11. He says and his face pops up with a speech bubble that says if Purdy finishes the season in the top 10, you can do the rankings next year. This guy is horrible. What? All right, what if we put him ahead of Tom Brady, who doesn't even play? Do we get any different? Let's see. If we had to do the rankings really quick, I'm probably gonna go here. I'm gonna throw Brock about here. Dak, you can go down here. Tua, I mean Tom Brady, like what are we doing, man? I'm probably putting Tua above these guys. You know, Tua's been playing well. I'm gonna do this. Tua's been playing well. Trevor Lawrence, you can really make the case that Brock is playing better than Trevor right now. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to go here. Kyler Murray, you're banished to the Shadow Realm. Let's see. Who else? I think Baker's been playing pretty well. I'm going to put him up a little higher. Definitely above him. Russ, you're going down. Tannehill, you're going down. Goff. No, I want Goff ahead of Geno. I want to put Goff ahead of Stafford too. So I'm not going to worry about the rest. But if I had to do a top 10, Patrick, Josh, Jalen, Justin, Lamar, Tua, Brock, Trevor. This is about this is pretty accurate how I feel about the top 10. If we're not, this isn't a scouting report top 10. This is how these guys are playing right now. You can make the case that Brock could be a little bit higher, but I feel comfortable with this right now. I feel comfortable with this list. I think this is how I would do it. Brock, we said this last week. I got Brock right there around 7. I think he's put up better numbers than Stafford and Trevor Lawrence. Goff had a really good game last week. I mean, shoot, I might even put Goff here. I might even do that. Goff's playing well. So if I had to do a top 10 ranking the quarterbacks, this is like when you get to, I think, past Lamar, you can kind of make the case where you shift these guys a little bit, like you really can. But using Brock's stats paired up against these other guys, better numbers than Trevor, better numbers than Stafford, all that type of stuff. The fact that he has Brock Purdy right now at 22 is laughable. Um, it really is. And I love the note that if Brock Purdy's top 10, we get to do the rankings next year. Do we just get to take his job overall in general? I hope so. What's Ringer paying over there? Maybe not that good if they've got that guy hired. But yeah, man, unserious rankings to have Brock Purdy at 22 right now. Just completely unserious. So, and again, this guy's on record. If the 49ers win right now with Brock Purdy, he's not going to cover the NFL. I think they're pretty even, to be honest. I think Tua and Brock are playing pretty well. They're both playing really well. I would rather have Brock below Tua to then jump Tua in about a week or two. So maybe we could do this every week. Maybe we check in on quarterback rankings. Right now, I got Brock at 7. I'm gonna say Tua and Brock are pretty even because Tua has more, I would say, bigger plays. I'll just kind of give him that nod. I'll give it to him, and we'll let Brock keep climbing. But Brock is absolutely top 10 quarterback right now. And we hope that it maintains. We hope that he continues going forward, because if it does, the 49ers have a great shot at winning the Super Bowl. So it feels good right now to be a 49er fan. Honestly, I love that these guys are like this. I think it's perfect for our team. It's perfect for the culture. It's perfect for our fan base. Like, we need a reason to rally around our guys. It's just something that I've noticed about our fan base for quite some time. And that's why it was really difficult when it was Jimmy and Trey, and then Trey and Brock. We need to rally around one guy. And when we have that one guy, the whole fan base, for the most part, outside of a couple detractors, are going to rally around that guy. And so, on top of having that guy in place, which is Brock, we also now have people trying to chop down what Brock is doing. And that also pours gasoline on the entire situation. For the locker room, I mean, we've had George Kittle come out earlier this week, talk about how Dan Orlovsky's comments saying that, well, Mac Jones would be doing the same thing as Brock Purdy. And Kittle's like, that's disrespectful to Brock Purdy. 100%. I commented this word for word, bar for bar. I commented the same exact thing. Underneath, I think the whatever Instagram post that they had made, it's exactly what I said. That's disrespectful to Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy continues to get backhanded compliments all day. Nick Wright, oh, he looked excellent this game, but Brock Purdy's the weakest link on the San Francisco 49ers. If the 49ers lose the Super Bowl, it's going to be because of Brock Purdy. Well, you sound like a hater. And that's the thing. All these guys, all these haters, they don't change. They don't change their opinion. They change what they're saying to appease their audience. Because if they don't change what they're saying, they're going to get cooked. And they're going to get basically laughed out the room. That's why they switch up. And then the second that Brock Purdy has a bad game, they are going to raise their hand and see, you guys crowned him too early. You guys talked too good about him too early. They show their colors every single time. So if and when Brock Purdy has a multiple interception game, they lose or something, because guess what? All quarterbacks have bad games. What we're seeing with Brock Purdy right now is unprecedented. The fact that he's never lost a regular season game is unprecedented, to the point where no quarterback in NFL history in the Super Bowl era has won the first 5 games of their rookie year and their second year. It's never happened before. So what Brock Purdy is doing is already historic. But if he has a bad game, wait and see the switch up. And that's going to tell you exactly who these people are, because when you're 5-0 and you're playing great ball, you can't sit there with a straight face and be like, yeah, he's not that good. And I still believe he's not that good, because you won't get any views. You won't get any clicks that mean anything in regards to your credibility. You might get hate views. You might get hate clicks and things like that. But if you're concerned about actually having any form of credibility, you can't say that, because it's not true, even if they believe it. So that's the thing, is that there are people that out here still believe Brock Purdy's not that good of a quarterback. And but they're basically, they got their mask on right now, parading around and riding the hype train. And the second he potentially has a game where he takes a step back, has a crucial interception in the wrong time, 49ers lose the game. Oh, just wait. Just wait and see who says what. It'll be very telling. But we got a super chat from Bozzy Man. I probably destroyed that. Bozzy Mian. I kind of like Bozzy Man though. What I don't like is how they're acting. Wait. What I don't like is how they're waiting for Purdy to look bad and lose just so it serves their narrative. Brock doesn't have space to fail like others. That's pretty much what it is. They're waiting. They're just patiently waiting for when that shoe drops. And when Purdy has a bad game, oh boy, you better believe they're going to be, see, I told you so. This is what I've been saying. And that's the thing. It's like all these quarterbacks are going to have bad games. Like, no one is perfect. Like, that's why what Brock is doing is so special right now, because he's literally going against the grain, like, of what is expected from a young quarterback. So yeah, 100%. They're just waiting. They are just patiently waiting. And right now, Brock Purdy has made them wait very, very long. And they're getting impatient by it, because each and every game that Brock Purdy continues to perform and play at a high level, they look silly. And that's why they're changing their tune. That's why they're changing the narrative. But the second it happens, they're going to pull their priors and be like, see, told you so. It's like clockwork, man. It's like no cookies for them. No cookies for them. I love it. I love it. And like, honestly, like, I'm not surprised at this point that Brock Purdy has played as well as he's had. Exactly. Purdy didn't have a great first half against the Rams, and those people let you know, right? All they talked about all week was his deep ball inaccuracy. That's all they talked about. Oh, he can't throw the deep ball. How concerning is this, Niner fans? He can't throw the deep ball. I went on 95.7 that week. They asked me that question. Are you concerned with Brock Purdy and the misses that he had against the Rams? My response was no. I'm not concerned at all. He's very close to hitting on these. If they were egregious overthrows, out of bounds, just completely terrible overthrows, underthrows, egregious, yeah, then we would be a little bit more concerned. But in that game against the Rams, he was super close. Like, he really was close on all 3 of those, and then he also completed, one really nice back shoulder deep throw to Jawan Jennings, and then he had a catchable ball in the corner of the end zone to Deebo Samuel. So that's why I was like, "No, I'm not concerned," because I really believe with more reps and more timing, they're gonna start hitting on these. What do you know? More reps, more games, m the timing is showing up. So, people don't have patience with football, and football, you gotta string it together. I talk about this all the time. Like, you have to have a level of patience when you're evaluating football. Everyone's so quick, and you're gonna hear it from people who don't know ball the most, is they're going to jump on takes. "Oh, he missed these throws. He's not good at throwing the deep ball." No, you can see the evolution, and the evolution is going to continue. If the evolution doesn't happen and he keeps missing deep balls, then we'll be concerned. But what has happened? The evolution has continued. He's hitting on higher percentages on his deep throws. I think he has one of the highest completion percentages of any quarterback in the NFL throwing 10 plus yards in the NFL right now. By statistical metrics, Brock Purdy is one of the better deep ball throwers in the NFL right now. So that's the thing. It's like people don't understand that when you play football, it's not going to happen right away. Not only is it not going to happen right away, is you're going to have games where you take a step back. All this game is about is limiting mistakes and continuing to get better each and every week and building and stacking. That's why it's really hard to make very, very definitive takes, especially early on in the season when that's what they're doing. They're building, they're stacking. We'll see. Like Edelman said, uh, he's healing. It's going to get better. I have a really cool relationship. Man, these shadows are, this light is crazy. I have a really cool relationship with Brock Purdy's quarterback coach, Will Hewitt. Um, I met him at the combine. I talked to Will Hewitt at the combine for like a solid 20, 25 minutes. He was at one of those, those get togethers after. I recognized him. I went up to him. I was like, "Hey man, Will Hewitt, like, appreciate all the work that you do with, because I knew he was part of Brock Purdy's pre-draft process, and just started chopping it up with Will. He trained Anthony Richardson in this pre-draft process, and so like at any time, like I can go and ask Will a question, and eventually, I'm probably gonna try to get him on the channel, but I asked him, I was like, man, I swear his arm is better than it was last year. Like, because I'm watching the tape and we saw some of the throws that Brock was making, and I'm like, dude, his arm looks better than it was last year. And he's coming off the UCL. And that to me is kind of crazy. And he says it will get better and better. Just wait. And this is the guy who worked with Brock all summer, throughout the whole rehab process. And he's telling me, just wait, it's going to get better. So, like we've talked about, it's a process for Brock still coming back. And what we're seeing is we're still seeing a level where he can improve upon and he can get even better in regards to throwing the football. So that's why that's why I think these people are crazy when they try to come at Brock Purdy and they try to discredit him and they try to rip him apart because he's not 6'4", 240 pounds and doesn't throw the football 70 yards downfield on a rope. Like, he does everything else exceptionally well. Um, and so I'm looking forward to it, man. I really think that they're going to continue to improve. He's gonna get better. And it's they're in a great spot, man. They got their guy. They got their quarterback. That's all we've been wanting. That's all we've been looking for. They've got their guy. And with having their guy at the quarterback position, that to me should also mean that the San Francisco 49ers need to push all their chips into the center right now and go do whatever they need to do to get better. I just saw this tweet come across and I love the photo because it's 100% accurate. Let me pull it up because right now the 49ers need to do everything in their power to get better this year and make sure that they go out and they put the best 53-man roster together, regardless of what it will take to ensure they are competing for a Super Bowl. Dan Graziano is reporting that the 49ers are a team to watch at the trade deadline. Now, we already know this. They just made a big trade last week. They got Randy Gregory for literally nothing. And they got him for free effectively. But that doesn't mean they're done. That doesn't mean they are out of the woods yet. Or they're asleep at the wheel. Based on how this season is going, the San Francisco 49ers need to be pushing all their chips to the center and doing whatever they can to improve this roster wherever that may be. And if it means an embarrassment of riches, do it. Do it. And shout out to Niners Nation. I just saw this while I saw the Graziano report earlier and I wanted to talk about it, but I just saw it pop up and I love the photo because that's exactly who I would bring in. I said this yesterday on State of the Franchise with Jason Aponte. I believe right now that the weakest point on the San Francisco 49ers is the pass rush opposite of Nick Bosa. It's not cornerback, in my opinion. I really don't think that's the case. I think that Isaiah Oliver has stepped up and he's played well. Patrick Surtain is not on the block. They are not going to trade Patrick Surtain. That's not going to happen. And they activated Bryant and Sheffield from the practice squad. I don't think that's for this week. They did that last week. And I'll be honest, Austin Bryant played a lot of snaps for the 49ers last week, and he does not honestly belong. He's not good enough. If the 49ers ever have to rely on Austin Bryant, they're going to be in a bad spot. So obviously you get Randy Gregory, but that's still not enough. I still think I think they will have an opportunity to get Brian Burns. Brian Burns, I think, is going to get traded at the deadline. So literally, even if you're trading for a rental, even if you're trading for Brian Burns as a rental for half a year, you do it. Even with Randy Gregory, You do it. You do it. You don't if you have an opportunity to get a player of Brian Burns' caliber, you do it. No questions. I don't care. Randy Gregory, they got him for absolutely nothing. You do it. And I do believe Brian Burns will be available for a trade this year. I think he will be moved at the deadline because him and the Panthers are not coming to a contract extension. They haven't won a game this year. And I think they're going to move Brian. So what does that mean? Right now, if your weakest point on your entire roster that is extremely strong is pass rush, and we know that out of anything from a team building standpoint that this team believes, it starts up front on the defensive line, we're calling. I hope we're calling. I hope we're calling on Brian Burns. Matt says they'll want too much. How can you want too much for a rental player? That's the thing, is that the Panthers are in a terrible spot. Because if they were going to trade Brian Burns at his highest value, they needed to trade him last year for 2 first-round picks. When he would have had they would have had team control. He's no longer under team control. He is a free agent at the end of this year. So, because of that, because it's half a season through, you're effectively trading for a rental player that you know you have to pay. That significantly changes the value that it would take to trade for him. He's no longer worth 2 first-round picks right now because the team that is going to trade for him has to pay him most likely right away, or they're trading for a rental, and then he becomes a free agent at the end of this year, and you wash your hands and say thank you for the 7 to 9 games you played for us, and we're going to let you sign elsewhere. That's why he will be cheaper. That's why he will cost less to go out and get. And theoretically, you don't have to pay him. You really don't. You could literally say, "All right, they're not going to pay him. They're going to trade him. We'll trade for him, but we'll trade for him as a rental." And they do just that. They trade for him as a rental. He walks in free agency, gets the bag. I mean, it would be best case scenario for BB because he's playing on the opposite side of Brian Burns with Eric Armstead and Javon Hargrave. He comes out here and goes crazy putting up sack numbers and goes and gets paid in the offseason. So it would be beneficial for him, even if he came and played as a rental. So to me, it's a real possibility. Are the 49ers actually going to go out and trade for Brian Burns? I have no idea. But the actual, the actual likelihood of it potentially happen is a real potential. I do think he will get traded this year. Will it be to the Niners? I hope so. But I do think he'll get traded. I don't think he has a future with the San Francisco 49ers, or excuse me, with the Carolina Panthers. I think that ship has sailed. They're not going to pay him, which makes Brian Burns available at the deadline. You're not going the Carolina Panthers would be absolutely idiotic to let him walk in free agency after this season and not winning any football games. Idiotic. So you best believe they're going to try, and they have no first round pick this year. The Carolina Panthers don't have a first round pick. They're not winning any football games. And the San Francisco 49ers are all in right now. Do it, man. Don't think, do it. Randy Gregory actually helps the bargaining power of, I think, of John Lynch. because they could literally say, all right, no Brian Burns, we got Randy Gregory. And if Randy Gregory comes out and has a good game against the Cleveland Browns, that even changes the bargaining power even more into the 49ers into their favor. And to me, like I said, we got Brock Purdy. We got a phenomenal offense. We have enough pieces right now to go all in. I'm going all in. I'm going all in. We got Randy Gregory. That's not enough. I want more. I'm greedy. I want this team to be in the best possible position to win a Super Bowl. So if you can get me Brian Burns, you guys know, I've been banging the table for Brian Burns for like 3 years to get traded to the 49ers. And literally for the last 2 years, it's been just a dream. It's been a pie in the sky scenario. It's been something that I would admit to you that had such a small percentage chance of happening. That's not the case anymore. It's legitimately not the case. If the 49ers wanted to go out and get Brian Burns, they can. That's crazy. So do it. Do it. I've been saying for years, if you have Brian Burns and Nick Bosa rushing the passer, a literal potato could be your quarterback and you're walking into the Super Bowl. Well, guess what? They don't have a potato at quarterback. They have a top 10 guy at quarterback right now. And if you add him to the mix, you combine Brian Burns and you put him on a defense. Let's think about this really quickly. The San Francisco 49ers have put up 30 plus points in every single game this year, which means every single team they have played against has been trailing and having to claw themselves back into games, which is perfect scenario of why you bring in Brian Burns. If you have an offense that can put up points and your defense is constantly in pass prevent situations, what do you think the best possible outcome and the best possible situation would be for your defense? Is to have the most elite pass rush in the NFL to be able to be combined with your potent offense that can score a lot of points. So if the teams that you are always playing against are having to pass themselves back into football games, and then you unleash, imagine this front. Imagine like you could literally interchange it consistently. The NASCAR package consisting of Brian Burns, Randy Gregory, Javon Hargrave, and Nick Bosa. Are you kidding me? And you rotate in Drake Jackson, you rotate in Eric, you rotate in Kinlaw. Who's stopping that? Who is stopping that? John Lynch hit my line, man. John Lynch, you need the closer. Hit me up. I know how to sweet talk those Panthers. I know how to sweet talk them. I will convince the Panthers to trade me. I will convince them. They already have a great relationship. They were able to facilitate the Christian McCaffrey trade. They already have a line of communication. They've already figured out how to trade for an elite player. Now, you need a first-round pick, guys. You need a first round. We'll give you a first round pick for Brian Burns. Do you know why we'll give you a first round pick for Brian Burns? Because ultimately, we'll be picking in the 30s. So that's fine. A 30. If you need a little bit more, what do you want? You want a conditional fourth? If Brian gets X amount of sacks, we'll turn that fourth into a third. It doesn't matter because we have 11 picks and a ton of comp picks coming back to us, so we can move some mid round picks. You need some more mid round picks. We'll do a what do you need? We got you. We got you. I'm telling you, man. There's a way. There's a path. There is a path to get this done. And I hope they're on it. I hope they're walking down that path. I really do. I really do. I really, 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 really do. I'm all in on this year. This year. This season is the year to go all in. What about JC Horn? JC Horn's on IR. So, from my understanding of how it works, I don't think he would be able to be traded unless he comes off IR. I don't think you can cut players on IR. You have to waive them with a injury designation and stuff like that. I don't know about the rules of trading someone on IR. I think it's a little tricky. So we'll see. We'll see. What I will say is I feel pretty comfortable with Charvarius, Diamador, and Isaiah. I do. After watching the tape the last 2 weeks, I feel pretty comfortable with those three cornerbacks. I don't necessarily feel comfortable with the depth at cornerback, but to be honest, I think if the 49ers make a move for a cornerback, it's for a depth guy. That's the way I would look at it. They would potentially bring a guy in for depth and not so much as a starter because I do think if you're going to, I mean, they could, but I really like Diamador on the outside. I think Diamador's, especially with what he did against the Cowboys, I feel really comfortable with Diamador on the outside. So, and Isaiah on the slot isn't really that bad. Like, he's really not, especially after you get into the tape. So, I don't know. Are you trading for a guy who's going to bench any one of those? They're Ward and Lenore aren't getting benched. And so does that mean you start looking for a slot guy? I don't know. That's why I'm looking at pass rush as still being the number one thing that they need to get better at. And it's not because of Nick Bosa is not doing it. It's not because the interior guys aren't doing it. I just think they need more speed opposite side of Bosa. I think that's it. Now, Randy Gregory looks pretty twitched up. I'm not going to lie. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to what Randy Gregory does in this defensive line rotation because he looked pretty twitchy in some of the videos that we saw yesterday of him at practice. He's got great length, great size, and I feel like he could definitely provide a nice little burst off the edge. But I am still Randy, like let's be honest, Randy Gregory isn't Brian Burns, not even in the same tier. So, but if you can add both of them, remember, Randy Gregory didn't cost you anything. So he didn't cost him anything. So if you can still upgrade over Randy Gregory, I am still doing that. That isn't Randy Gregory to me is not a deterrent at all of going out and trying to get more edge help. It's not at all. And we already know they're going to rotate these guys. The more explosive players you can have on the defensive line is going to be so beneficial to the 49ers offense. It would be insane. It would be insane. So I hope they do it. Make the call, man. There's so many ties. They would know exactly what Brian Burns is good at. Steve Wilks knows him so well. Brian Burns loves Steve Wilks. It would be such a good fit. And then you put Brian Burns with Chris Koserek, dude. It's over for the league. That's why, man. We got to manifest this. We got to manifest this. It's got to happen. It really has to happen. People need to understand that the offensive line, the thought of trading for an offensive line is so much harder than probably any other position on the team because offensive linemen play within a unit. There's continuity that has to exist between all five starting offensive linemen. On top of that, you got to learn this insanely intricate playbook. There, I don't think there's any such thing as a plug and play offensive lineman into this scheme unless they played in this scheme before. That's literally the only way that makes sense. Like if you're trading for an offensive lineman, it would take multiple weeks to be able to get them up to speed. And then on top of that, none of our offensive linemen are playing poorly enough to get benched. That's the other thing. They aren't playing poorly enough to get benched. McKivitz has been playing really solid these last couple weeks. Burford stepping his game up. We saw Jonathan Feliciano come in and look like a starter. He looked exactly like a starter. Um, so we already have Jonathan Feliciano who can play all three spots on the interior. Um, so if you're trading for a tackle, you're trading for depth. You're not trading for a starter because, like I said, McKivitz isn't playing poorly enough that he deserves to get benched. And on top of that, the guy that you're probably trading for is going to be like 3 times more expensive than McKivitz to back up McKivitz. I don't think it makes sense. I don't think it makes sense at all. So, unless you can come across a team that is just throwing away an offensive lineman, which literally never happens, but if it does happen, sure, we'll make the call, but you also have to understand integration of starting offensive line into a system that, let's say this guy's never played in the system before. He's got to learn a hell of a lot. This is one of the most complex offensive systems in the NFL, especially for offensive linemen. It is not plug and play. It is not unless they have that experience. So I get it. You want to improve your offensive line. That doesn't happen mid-year. It is very rare that you have a mid-season trade of an offensive lineman and you plug him in. It's so you never see it. And there's a reason why you never see it. It's because offensive linemen aren't plug and play. They are not at all. There's a lot of work that goes into getting offensive lines up to speed, and it's all based on reps and continuity. That's why I don't think it's going to happen. If they do trade for an offensive lineman, it's going to be for a depth guy, potentially. Also, the other point, too, is like another reason why they should go and get Brian Burns is to keep him out of the NFC West or keep him out of the NFC, right? Because if Burns does become available, right, and you have Seattle calling, you have the Rams calling. We don't want that. We already know the Rams made a big time offer for Brian Burns. Do you want Brian Burns to go to the Rams because we don't need him? Oh, we don't need Brian Burns. He can go to the Rams though. Or well, we don't need Brian Burns. He can go to Seattle. You want to see Brian Burns twice a twice a year? I don't, because I know how good Brian Burns is. I don't want to see that at all. Do you want to see Brian Burns go to Philly? I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that at all. So that's the other aspect of it. It's like also too, who are you keeping Brian Burns away from? Would you rather not have Brian Burns because it's a luxury, but he goes to a division opponent? Or Carolina's not trading that dude? Are you kidding me? What makes you think they're keeping him? They're not paying him. Brian Burns is a free agent at the end of this year. That means he is for sale. And guess what? The Carolina Panthers haven't won a freaking game this year. The Carolina Panthers are sellers. They're not buyers. They are selling. They are selling. They've won 0 games with Brian Burns. So why would what makes you think the Carolina Panthers like, you know what? We're not going to pay Brian Burns. We're going to keep him this year and we're going to let him walk at the end of this year in free agency. Use your brain. Everything is pointing to Brian Burns getting traded. Brian Burns spoke to the media like 2 weeks ago, and he looked like he wanted to jump out of his skin because he's not getting paid. The team is losing. Brian Burns doesn't want to be there. He does not want to be there. And I would not be shocked in the slightest if Burns quietly has requested a trade. I would damn near expect it at this point that he has quietly requested a trade. So that's it, man. If this team is really, if they're really, really all in on going to the Super Bowl and they have the quarterback, they have the offense, they have the weapons, they have what they need to go to the Super Bowl. All right. All in. What does that look like? Jalen Johnson, that the cornerback from the Browns or not the Bears, I would look into that. I would look into it. What other players? JC Horn. I think about it, but he's hurt. And he's been hurt a lot. And I don't know. Hey, Steve Wilkes knows. Steve Wilkes will either would be able to give the thumbs up or the thumbs down. I don't know. I don't know what Horn would cost. Oh yeah, you're not moving me off this Brian Burns. I've already completed the trade 14,000 times in my head. I've been on this for years, man. I've been reading the tea leaves with all the Panthers stuff. I've already been saying for like the last year and a half that I don't think the Panthers are going to pay Brian Burns. That's one of the main premises of why I've been going so hard on Brian Burns is because for the last year I've been saying they aren't going to pay him. I don't believe they are. And sure enough, where do we stand today? It is October 12th. The trade deadline is in less than a month, and Brian Burns is not paid. That tells you everything you need to know. They've already put it out that they've already been like, we don't know if we're going to pay Brian Burns. Well, look at them right now. They're not paying him. He is unpaid. And they haven't won a single game, which works to our benefit. Oh, yeah. 100%. 100%. That's my guy. That's my dog. Man, if they get me BB, whoo-wee, I'm going insane. I'm losing it. Y'all better tune into that live. I'm manifesting it right now. When the 49ers trade for Brian Burns, I better be the first live you guys tune into, because we are going absolutely insane. I'm manifesting it right now. Hey, not the biggest fan of a first for rental, neither am I. But I also believe Parag Marathe can figure something out. If they wanted to get him paid to a long-term contract extension, I think they could figure it out. And I think they could sell it to Brian Burns is, we're going to give you the year to play it out. And then if you fit into our locker room, you fit into our culture, you fit into whatever, we will figure out a way to get you paid. 49ers are sitting on $42 million in cap space this year, and that's going to roll over into next year. And you already know they can pull a bunch of different levers to be able to create more cap space by creating, they can restructure Debo, boom, millions of dollars become available. They could, there's, when they sign Brandon Ayuk, that money is going to be pushed out beyond next year. That isn't going to hit the cap next year. So the 49ers can figure it out if they really wanted to. So that's why I say you trade for Brian Burns on the theory of it being a rental. That's how you sell it to the Panthers. You're like, listen, this guy's only going to be a rental for us. We can't afford him next year. We got to pay Talanoa. We got to pay Brandon Ayuk. There's not a huge likely. It's not a slam dunk that we're going to be extending him. What you say is, we are going to buy him as a rental, and then at the end of the year, we'll figure out what our next move is. And that's literally how you don't trade for Brian Burns and you pay him right away. That's, I don't think, what you do. I think you trade for him. You tell Brian Burns and his representation that, hey, you got this year to prove that you're exactly who we think you are. And if you do so, we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure out how to get you paid. At worst case scenario, guys, at worst case scenario, if you can't pay Brian Burns, you want to know what they do? They tag him and they trade him for double of what they bought him for. See, that's why Lynch, hit me up, man. Lynch, hit me up. We can figure this out, man. I promise you we can figure this out. We can figure this out. If you're not going to pay him, you can still trade him, tag him, trade him if you can't pay him. And you can double your return on investment. I'm telling you guys, if there's a will, there's a way. If there's a will, there's a way. Yeah, I don't love the idea for using Brian Burns as a rental, but if that's what it takes, you can tag him, you can franchise tag him, and then trade him. And maybe get a additional first round pick back. You get a higher first back. Maybe you get multiple firsts back. Who knows? Who knows? I'm telling you. If there's a will, there's a way. Good news for Elijah Mitchell. Looks like Elijah Mitchell is back at practice today. So that's good. I know fans have been a little upset with his availability, so it's good to see that Elijah Mitchell is back at practice right now for the San Francisco 49ers. That's from David Lombardi of The Athletic. So that's good. But man, how sweet would that be? How sweet. That's a Super Bowl move right there. You want to tell the whole league that The Super Bowl goes through San Francisco. Go trade for Brian Burns. See what happens. Go trade for Brian Burns and see what happens. Burnson in practice this week. Ankle signs of a trade coming or actual injury? I don't know. It's a good question. If the 49ers traded for Brian Burns, my reaction wouldn't be good news. The 49ers traded for Brian Burns. I would literally be screaming right now if that was the case. I would jump out of my seat. I would start throwing things. If the 49ers traded for Brian Burns, I would lose my literal mind because it's something that I've wanted for so long. For so long. It would be surreal. Like, it would literally be a surreal feeling that for that to happen. Brian Burns has been trending on Twitter a lot the past week or so, because I think a lot of people believe he's going to be traded. He has been trending for a long time. Yeah, Brian Burns and Derek Brown, both out. They're star defensive players. Gosh, I hope they could get him, man. Do it for the vibes, John. Do it for the vibes. Could you imagine what that live would be like? I'm telling you, man, it would be probably my favorite live of all time. I would lose it. and then I'd see how much pull I'd have with Brian and see if I get him on the live. Instantly in the DMs, bro, hop on live. Let's go. Come through. Come through. Come on, BB. Come through. I would be so down. All right. Well, good news for Elijah. Glad Elijah's back. We needed that. So right now, 49ers damn near. They're getting healthy at the right time. And it is important to remember 49ers are going to be getting Samuel Womack back. So I know we've been talking about the cornerback thing. It's important that to also remember that when Samuel Womack comes back, he's probably going to be ahead of Ambry Thomas in the depth chart. So we also there's 2 cornerbacks right now. That's the thing. That's another reason why I also don't think the 49ers are super desperate to go get cornerbacks, because they still have 2 cornerbacks that are coming back. Darrell Luter Jr., we'll see. Like, again, we don't know. We haven't seen Darrell Luter at all in his rookie year. But also, we know what Samuel Womack is. We know Samuel Womack could be decent. So that's why I still think the 49ers front office has edge circled. Pass rush is circled right now on what they need to get to make this team better. Oh, I'm getting excited just thinking about it. Like, I'm getting pumped just thinking about the idea. Just thinking about the idea, man. Dark Horse Lynch could trade the Titans general manager for who? Let's see. Let me look at the Titans depth chart really quick. You think Rand would help us out? Rand Carthon? Man, if you wanted to get an offensive lineman and you could get your hands on Peter Skoronski, which they're not going to do, I would definitely ask about Peter Skoronski. He's going to be a good offensive lineman. Should we go trade for Daniel Brunskill? Bring Brunny back? They're not traded. Tajee Spears, I like a lot. But if we're looking at the defensive side, Jeffrey Simmons would be my deal guy. They're not going to trade him. But we also don't have a need for him. Harold Landry, but he's got injury concerns. I don't know. I don't really, not seeing anything that really jumps off at me for trading with the Titans. There's nothing that really gets me excited about that. So I don't know. I don't know if we could make a deal. I mean, it really did sound like the Broncos would trade pretty much everyone but Patrick Surtain. So it sounds like they want to move on from Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy is super mid. They're gonna try to trade away some guys. Does Garrett Bowles become available? Would the 49ers try to kick the tires on the left tackle? And see, that's the thing. It's like he wouldn't. I don't even think he would start right away, because he'd have to learn the playbook. He'd have to transition from left to right. Quinn Miners. Can we get our hands on Quinn? I would love Quinn. But again, I don't think they make an interior offensive lineman trade because they don't need to. And Feliciano's proved he could be starting right now for the 49ers if they needed him and not skip a beat. So I don't know. We'll see. And we already got Gregory from him. So And if it's not Surtain, then it's probably not going to be really anyone else. So we'll see. Yeah, I mean, this is what I said this when the whole Pat Surtain thing came up. I'm like, even if the Denver Broncos are going full blown tank mode, I still don't think they're trading Patrick Surtain. He's too young, he's too good, and he's cost controlled. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way they're trading him. But man, 49ers need to be buyers. 49ers need to be buyers, man. I need it. I want it. I want more of it. But appreciate you guys as always for tapping in. Grab your cookies if you stayed the whole way. Fridays tomorrow. We're almost there. We got Prediction Friday tomorrow, so we'll do our full breakdown of the Cleveland Browns, and we'll do offensive, defensive player predictions. I felt pretty good about mine last week. I picked Kittle and Dre. Kittle and Dre had phenomenal games, but I would say Fred probably was the defensive player of the game last week. But not bad. We're pretty good. We're pretty close. Kittle and Dre. We'll do obviously bold takes, and we'll also do score predictions tomorrow. So check in. Appreciate you guys as always. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good rest of your Thursday. As you guys know, we're going to be posting content to the channel the rest of the day. So appreciate y'all. I'm out of here for now. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.